Hi, today I bring you a game played on Lichess yesterday, a 2 minute and 1 second increment game that I played. And as you can see, the time here in New Zealand is 11:03 a.m. if you want to know. And of course I'm called New Zealand 40 Teds, and I'm called VitsBlitz on chess.com. And my opponent is 2228. For this speed limit on Lichess, and I've looked up the name Sandeep and Sandeep, and yes, that's a real player like me, but obviously I've got a non-diploom. So here is this game that we played yesterday, and this is the one that I've selected to show you today. Hope you enjoy. So here we go. The thing is about chess is that it's often best to stick to your program in chess. So whatever you like playing and whatever you get results with, more importantly, or good results, is the one to play. So even if your opponent plays move knight c3 on move 2, doesn't mean that you should change your setup by playing a Sicilian or something, where you might prefer a French defence, as I do. Which I quite like the Sicilian though. Here's d4, so we've got normality until f5 comes on the board, and then we haven't got normality. This will make my opponent think a little bit. I like to get rid of the d4 bastion, so that it's very hard for white to get a pawn on d4 again. And here's just, I'm not really threatening knight takes pawn on e5. I don't really think it's a good idea. So bishop b5, so all what I've just said is null and void. So I play bishop d7, and of course, after bishop c6, here I play bc6, not bishop c6. As if I play bishop c6 here now, then white will enjoy knight takes e6 most likely, and also maybe knight f8, depending on black's next reply after knight e6. So anyway, back to the ball game. bc6. Now I have to do something with my knight, and if I could try and move my bishop somewhere, my black dark squared bishop. I could move it to h4, but that would be a bit silly because I can't really play knight e7 after that next move, because then white would just take my bishop on h4. So I have already home prepared this idea, which is knight h6, which actually incidentally was suggested to me a long time ago in this sort of situation without f5 by a former Canterbury top chess player, and I'll just say his name's Michael, but I won't say his last name. And he was saying knight h6 with the idea, with a pawn on e5, with the idea of if bishop h6, then gh6, and maybe bishop g7 and stuff like that. So that was back then, a while back now. So that was a long time ago. We're talking 20 years ago. So here's bishop h6, fair enough, gh6. So for the bishop pair, black has a doubled H pawn, but also an open G file, which might actually be quite a good idea to have this open G file for later on. Now, if white would have now Queen H5 check, then this would be pretty unhealthy for black. So here's knight d2 with that horrible idea, dear Watson. So I play castle. There's Queen H5. Fair enough. Probably everyone on the planet would play this move. And so I play bishop g5. So I'm attacking, obviously, the knight on d2. And now after knight f3, I don't have to worry too much about knight takes bishop. But as I'm looking at it, I could be a little bit concerned about h4 here for white now. So here's bishop e8. So I've got the first move first. So I'm glad that I have, because otherwise h4 is looking quite good for white. But even now, h4 would be no good. Why not? So if it was white's move, what would be wrong with h4? And good on you for seeing it. If h4, then I would have my next move, which is bishop e8, and I win the queen for something. So white's best after h4, if it was their move, bishop e8 would be queen e8, and then after that hg5, after queen captures or rook captures, which I probably would do, then hg5. So thereby white would get 2 pieces for the queen loss. So here's bishop e8, which is all obsolete anyway. It's all gobbledygook. So here's queen h3. Now I think I played king h8 or rook b8. Yes, I played rook b8. Just picking away at the b pawn on b2, which is of course undefended. So white remedies that by the following move, b3. Fair enough. So for the weakness, I've got the 2 bishop pair, even though the white squared bishop isn't the greatest piece on the board for black. And I've got the open G file at the moment. So I played king h8, I think. No, I didn't. d4, sorry. d4, which forces the knight back. It doesn't really want to go to a4, although sometimes it would love to leap into a4, because probably bishop a4 is just a little bit uncomfortable, sort of at least equalising the position for black, I think. That's my opinion. Might not be correct. Then we might have, if knight a4, then we could go bishop takes knight on a4, ba4, rook b2, just making the rook active. And then what would be wrong with the move rook e2 for white? So what would be wrong with knight a4, bishop a4, ba4, rook b2, rook e2? What move would you play after rook e2 for black? Good on you. You would play d3, of course. You saw d3, didn't you? And then the pawn cannot capture on d3 because of rook b2 takes e2. And now you could say, well, what about rook d1 after d3? That's not a bad move. And the thing is that black has something there that I'm just looking at this as I go. Black has something there. Black might even just play d takes rook e2, de2, rook d8 taking my queen, and rook d8. And what's white going to do about rook d1 check? So that's looking quite good. So his rook would be gone, and I'd have two rooks, and I believe that black would stand better. So anyway, white now played knight e2. And here we have the following, and hello to all my wonderful friends. Thank you for watching, and I hope your chess gets better and better no matter where it's at, and primarily enjoy your game of chess. So onwards and upwards. Here we go with my next response, which I think now is king h8. Oh no, it's still not king h8. I keep thinking I'm going to play king h8. I'm deluded. Now we can just hug bishop e4, can't we? No, we went king h8 that time. c3. Now this is putting the question to my d4 pawn, of course. So what do I do now? I play d3. And I'm not really threatening pawn takes knight at the moment. I'm not sure if I am or not. I might be. In fact, I probably would probably be interested in de2 because it's quite unsound, maybe. But there are things here that after, if I get de2, rook d8, then I get rook b takes d8. Then I have rook e2, and I go rook d1. Now bishop f knight e1 would be my preferred move for white, as rook e1 isn't very nice because of bishop takes knight f3, defending the rook on d1 of mine, and also threatening rook e1 check or checkmate. So it's not my move though, of course, it's white's move. So white plays now knight g3, a move, like I'm saying, I don't know if it's necessary. Bishop f3. So I'm now opening up the g file for both players. So both players now are going to end up with an fully open g file. And d2, of course. Now we have a pawn on d2 protected by my nasty bishop on g5, which is starting to look quite good now. And also we have ideas for black of queen d3. So here, this position here now is not the greatest for white, because the doubled pawn of mine on h6 is now compensated a slight bit by the doubled pawns on f3 and f2 respectively. So here white played rook e2. What else? I don't really know what else. Can't go to rook e3 because of bishop e3 or something else. So if rook e3, we have, of course, probably f4, although white does have queen takes pawn on e6, but then we're going to lose a whole rook for white on e3. So white now plays rook e2, fair enough, still keeping the position safe. Now what would I play? Do I play now f4? That would be putting a pawn on my bishop diagonal in the way of my bishop, so it would cut some of my scope off. So what's the move you're going to play here? It is singing a wee bit. It's queen d3. Okay, so now I am actually threatening what? I'm now threatening, amongst other things, queen f3, queen takes pawn on f3, and also another move. What's that? It's not exactly the most brilliant in the world, but it is. I don't even know if I am threatening f4, I was thinking. So am I threatening f4? I'm not sure. Because maybe rook e d2 is good for white. So I'm probably not threatening dear Watson f4 because of rook e d2 check to my queen. So here's c4, and so I take the pawn. See the pawn, pick it up, put it in my coffee cup, as William Hartston says. Now I'm threatening here f4. So here's queen g2, and I think I run away. Where to? c6? No, because a queen takes queen for nothing. Duh, game over. So I play queen c3. Just now I'm threatening, of course, what? Very easy to see. I'm threatening a very sensible, simple move to see is queen c1. So easy to see queen c1. Here's knight f1. Rook b d8. Bishop e3. Now comes to the end of this session. Now rook e3 is the best reply for white, although queen c1 is a wee bit annoying for white after rook e3. But here, sadly, white now played f e3 and rook g8, and my opponent resigned here as they lose their queen for the rook, and thereafter the game is not very good for white. Thank you very much for watching. All the best now. Stay safe, and thank you for watching. Bye for now.